I think that's why I'm so excited, is because I have been blessed to see what it looks like under the GOAT. And now you're going to the baby GOAT, who's been, all the eyes are on her all around the world. And so it's just kind of a cool experience for me.
She's changed our game in the best possible way. That's what Sophie Cunningham said about Caitlin Clark in her latest interview since joining the Fever. While critics and haters continue to downplay Clark's impact, Cunningham's candid assessment from a veteran perspective carries significant weight.
I am joined by Indiana Fever's Sophie Cunningham. And I just said Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham. You have been with the Phoenix Mercury for 6 years, now heading over to Indiana for the 2025 season. What does that feel like? How is that transition?
But there's another quote from a New York Post interview that's even more revealing. I've been that feisty player my whole career. Cunningham isn't just coming to Indiana to shoot threes. She's coming to be the enforcer this young team desperately needs. For Clark, who's faced unprecedented physical defense, having a teammate willing to push back might be the difference between good and great. Are you ready to hear more about what Sophie just said? Then comment CC and Sophie down below. Let's go.
You know, it is so funny that you even said that, because I'm so excited, but I'm still not used to it, just because I've been drafted out here. I've been here for 6 years. And so a couple weeks ago, I threw on the Indiana jersey for the first time, and everyone's saying I'm a Fever. And so I'm like, oh, I gotta get used to the new me, which I love. I'm so excited for. I think it's just such a great opportunity. I'm excited to play with the players that are there, play under the coaching staff that's there. And so I think this is just a new and exciting era for me, and everyone that I kind of partner.
Did you know the Indiana Fever just had 5 wins a few years ago, landing them at the very bottom of the league? That's the hole they're climbing out of, and it's deeper than most people realize. Then they followed it up with a dismal 13-win, 27-loss record, despite already having the 2023 first overall pick Aaliyah Boston. At that time, this wasn't just a bad couple of seasons for the Fever. It was a clear signal that something fundamental needed to change in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think Indy, those from my year 1 through 3.5. Well, let me just say this. I went through my 7 years in Indy. I've had 4 head coaches. So that within itself is kind of like, no one really knows what an experience of like the black stick at the bottom. Trust me, I've been there. Trust me. So I was, that's really how it started,
Think about what that means for a franchise at rock bottom. The Fever weren't just losing games, they were losing relevance in a league where attention is already hard to come by. Their performance was so concerning that it became obvious to everyone watching that a complete roster overhaul wasn't just desirable, it was absolutely necessary for survival. When
y'all left, it was still a rebuild stage. So different coaches got hired. And I think that at that point, we was trying to figure out whether I would keep swimming or if I would sink individually. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what would happen in my career. I didn't know how it would turn out, because the points were the points, the accolades were accolades, but it wasn't enough.
That team winning. Team, not individual, team.
And anybody that wanted to compete and be a winner,
it's about team.
Then comes the 2024 draft, and suddenly everything changes. The Fever land the number 1 pick, and with it Caitlin Clark, arguably the most consequential rookie in WNBA history. Overnight, the team that nobody was watching became the team everybody was talking about. But here's where things get complicated. That spotlight brings heat. The critics and skeptics wasted no time questioning everything about this new-look Fever. Would Clark's game translate to the pro level? Could this young team actually compete with the powerhouses of the league? The questions weren't just coming from random social media accounts. They were legitimate concerns from basketball analysts who saw a talented rookie walking into a situation that still had major deficiencies.
Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement.
When the 2024 season tipped off, those early stumbles only amplified the criticism. The team looked disjointed at times, struggling to find chemistry. Clark was getting physically dominated in many matchups with opposing teams, seemingly taking turns trying to welcome her to the league with extra contact. The Fever's weaknesses were on full display. They lacked toughness, their shooting was inconsistent, and most glaringly, they had no enforcer, no veteran presence to stand up when things got physical. What became painfully obvious was that talent alone wasn't going to cut it. The Fever needed more than just skilled players. They needed battle-tested veterans who understood what it takes to win at the highest level. They needed players who wouldn't shrink under the intense scrutiny that comes with having a star like Clark on the roster.
Are you in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position, and I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
That's when the front office made their move in what might go down as one of the most strategic rebuilds in recent WNBA memory. The Fever management responded by acquiring a buffet of veteran talent: Sophie Cunningham, Dana Bonner, Sydney Colson, and Natasha Howard. These weren't just any veterans. These were players who had been in championship situations, who understood pressure, who could teach the young core what winning really demands.
A wonderful fresh start for you. But before we look ahead, I kind of want to look back on your experience in Phoenix. Like you said, you were drafted there. You spent the last 6 seasons with the GOAT, Diana Taurasi, who just announced her retirement. What have you learned from her?
Oh man, I think we could sit here for days if we really went into that. But at the end of the day, I think that Dee is one of the best humans I've ever met. She has one of the best hearts. The way she not only thinks about life, but the game is just on a whole nother level.
And of all these veteran additions, nobody made a louder entrance than Sophie Cunningham. While the Fever front office calculated these moves behind closed doors, nobody predicted the bombshell Cunningham would drop during her media tour. Most veterans tiptoe around praising rookies, afraid of building them up too quickly, but Sophie took a completely different approach that left basketball analysts speechless.
But you went from playing with a true legend of the game to now a rising legend of the game in Caitlin Clark in Indiana. What is it about her? What have you observed about Caitlin Clark now that you're going to be one of her teammates?
In her candid New York Post interview, Cunningham boldly proclaimed she was built for this moment after years in Phoenix, where it hasn't always been easy. Sophie saw this trade as destiny, a turning point in her career journey. I think it's built me for something bigger and better, she.
It was exactly what Cunningham needed after she got, quote, too comfortable across 6 seasons in Phoenix. Now she tells the New York Post that she's equipped to thrive in the spotlight while playing alongside Fever superstar Caitlin Clark. Quote, I think that since I've been out here in Phoenix, it hasn't always been easy, Cunningham, 28, said while discussing a partnership with Quest Nutrition. There have been a lot of trials. There's been a lot of lessons learned, a lot of experiences that I thought was just like any WNBA team. But I think it's built me. It's made me tougher. It's tested my persistence and my mental quite a bit. I think it's built for me something bigger and better in the stage that we're about to be on with the players that I'm about to be with. I think I am built for this. So she's telling you she's ready. Did you pick up on the, I think it's made me tougher? Because look, they're not only going to come after Caitlin Clark, they're going to come after Miss Cunningham too. That is a fact. Unfortunately for her, I have a feeling she's not going to back down from anybody. Clark's fame put the team under a microscope, which opened the floodgates for scrutiny and constant attention. The Fever had to increase security when they drafted the Hawkeyes legend. None of that is intimidating to Cunningham. Here we go. And she's already said she's tough. Now we know she's not intimidated. Who's ready to chase a championship with a new look Fever? Quote, I think that's why they brought in a lot of veterans who have that experience, Cunningham said. And I'm not saying that they have the experience of hundreds of millions of followers watching your every step, but I do feel like they brought an experience of how to gel in the locker room. Refocused. There's a different type of vibe and energy about me, she said. I think I'm always kind of happy, go lucky, go with the flow, and I'm still that. But I'm also like ready to dial in and get a championship because that's something I haven't done yet. So I'm going to do anything in my power to help the team do that. It's time for me to level up. Very interesting indeed. So she's ready. She's making it clear. She's ready, joining this squad. And look, Remember when Cheryl Swoops and some of the other media was like, I don't know if any players are going to want to join Caitlin Clark. Boy, that turned out to be some fraudulent activity, did it not, by the media?
She has that same mindset that Dee has, and I've learned a lot on how to become a pro and how to get to where I want to be with Dee every single day, and how she just does things. You know, I was a sponge around here. I saw her habits, her do's and her don'ts, and I think when you have someone like Caitlin, she doesn't really need a lot of help, right? Like, she already knows how to play the game. She knows where she wants to be. She has an itch and a willingness to do whatever it takes to